Hey guys, welcome to the Wrestling Escape Pod and welcome to this mega episode. I always like to think of these as mega episodes because this is an extra juicy one. We are getting our teeth into the history of Hell in a Cell. And of course, inside Hell in a Cell, you have to have two people at least. Be a bit weird if there was just one standing there. So, of course, I do have my partner in crime with me, the Boston boy himself, Tommy Toy Travels!
Yes, it is me, the true leader of Retribution, Fitbone, back here, living life to the largest. I'm so happy to talk about a cell in a hell.
Cell in a Hell. That reminds me, did you ever get the Hell in a Cell Mattel, that all rhymes, playset? Probably. I think they called it The Cell. Something in my head is saying they couldn't call it Hell in a Cell.
That you say that.
Yeah, it was called The Cell. And you got like the ring and the Cell playset and everything. I only ever saw that in shops once. I saw it, I think, in Toys R Us on one of the real early toy hunts that I did. I don't even know if I was recording at that point. But I never picked it up. It was, I think, about £50, and I really regretted not getting it. I really regretted not getting it because it was quite impressive. It was obviously quite a big play set. The same thing happened to me, actually. We're so going off road now, but whatever.
That's fine. It still sells.
It still sells. This is still a cell as well, but more of a chamber, elimination chamber. I saw the elimination chamber playset once, but I did go for that one. I did buy that one. That was awesome.
I don't think I ever got that one.
Oh, it was really worth getting. It was nice. It was nice. It takes a lot to get me excited about play sets, but the elimination chamber one did it for me.
Wow.
What did you ever have a favorite
play set?
Yeah. Did you ever get the performance center one?
Maybe. Apparently, I don't have a favorite because if every time you ask me if I got it, and I'm just like, maybe. I did like I don't think this is a play set, but the Wicked Cool Toys Elite Scale, Authentic Scale ring. I thought that was really cool because it's big and it's a great display piece. Or if someone wants to play with their toys, it feels a bit more natural than that really small.
I remember your video on that was huge. Was it not your highest viewed video?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's my claim to fame.
Yeah.
Other than Shrek ASMR.
Move over, NASA. We have found something better than Mars or the moon. We have found the greatest thing that humanity has achieved. A Shrek McDonald's Happy Meal toy.
I think I saw the start of the Shrek ASMR one, but it began freaking me out. I'm not going to lie. The ASMR thing was, that was a bridge too far for me.
An odyssey.
Yeah. But it was just a whole movement that I could never get into. But I mean, they're killing it right now, the ASMR community. But not that I know, but I just, you know what I mean? I'm not friends with them. Hang out with them.
You're sub to all the newsletters talking about who's big on top of YouTube, and you always see ASMR and Ryan's World.
Yes.
Top two.
Yes. But I remember your Hell in a Cell was such a good video. If people haven't checked that out, I would really urge that they do. It was a lot of fun and really good. Didn't you build it on a pool snooker table?
Yeah.
Yeah, you did.
It was the biggest place I had. Like I could have done it on the floor, but I'm tall, so.
Did you ever have? And I swear we will get to Hell in a Cell, by the way. But this is me just freaking out at being able to talk to Tommy Toy Travels. So, did you ever Did you get the newer Elite Scale ring, the one that was done by Mattel?
With
Came with Jinder
Goldberg?
figure. Goldberg for Raw, yes.
got the Goldberg one.
Yeah. And it had the light up ring posts.
Yeah, I don't think I was as much as a fan, even though the turnbuckles were much easier to do.
Yes.
I still liked the Wicked Cool Toy one a little more.
Got you. Well, there we go. A little journey down a little playset path there for all of our figure friends.
Hold on, I got the segue. And you know why I like the Wicked Cool one better? It's because you could change the ring skirt. So if you wanted to do a Hell in a Cell,
Boom. There it is.
Boom.
There it is. Nice segue. And of course, you would want to do a Hell in the Cell because Hell in the Cell is cool. That is a fun fact. It's been around since 1997. And I might as well go down the history road here. The first cell was 16 feet high. It weighed 2 tons. That has grown over the years. It's now 20 foot high and it weighs 5 tons. And Hell in a Cell started in 97. It was Jim Cornette that is credited with creating it. He proposed it. It was based on the War Games and the last Battle of Atlanta match. And it was obviously 97. In Your House, Bad Blood, October 5th. And it would be Shawn Michaels versus The Undertaker. And it was obviously more famous for the ending of that match because, of course, that would be the debut of Kane. Kane would come down. He would be seen for the very first time. He would rip the door off the hinges and get inside and attack his brother, Undertaker. And this was the first time that we were seeing Kane. That match was so iconic. And, I mean, obviously it had Undertaker and Shawn, so how was it ever going to fail anyway? But the fact that it was an incredible match that had that twist at the end, Meltzer loved it. Meltzer gave that first Hell in a Cell 5 stars. 5 stars from Big DM. The Big DM dropping the 5 stars. And that's not happened that many times. Actually, when you look at the main roster, I think there's around about 12, 15 5-star matches, something like that. I think WWE had about 20 in total, and a good chunk of them have gone to NXT. So it's always significant when Dave drops a big 5-star bomb. Obviously, then, we move forward. I think there's been around about 40 Hell in a Cell matches in total now. Obviously, it would go on to have its own pay-per-view. That began in 2009. I'm not going to get too stuck into stuff at this stage, but I do just want to mention that the third ever Hell in a Cell match, obviously we just spoke about the first, but the third ever Hell in a Cell match, probably the most famous, Undertaker versus Mankind.
Yes, because it's a big match. Undertaker and Mankind both wrestled. And it was a Hell in the Cell match.
Yeah, I think you've covered it. Honestly, I think you've hit every point that needs to be hit right there. That's it. We can move on. Huge, absolutely huge. Do you know the match?
Yeah, I've seen it. I've seen it. This is one of the few where you're like, have you seen it? I'm like, no.
No.
I don't know about it. I've seen it. I've actually seen it. And
Yeah.
it's definitely a match that everyone should see if they're into wrestling. I
But-
say that as a big indie guy. You
Yes.
gotta watch this match.
Just whilst we're on the indie subject, did you see all the Evolve talent that they had signed for WWE? Joe Gacy, Anthony Green.
Got announced.
Yeah, they finally got announced. Finally got announced.
And they're not Retribution.
And they're not Retribution, yeah. Which, to be honest, looking at the names that they've given Retribution and the way they presented them in that first week, I'm all right with it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They've got a chance now. They've got a chance, these guys. So I'm kind of all right with it now. But yeah, that'll be interesting. But anyway, back to Hell in a Cell. This was when I don't know if it still is, but I know for a fact when the network first started, I want to say for the first year or two at least, and maybe even still to today, because they don't actually give us this information, but for the first year or two, the most watched match on the network was Undertaker versus Mankind, King of the Ring, 1998, the Hell in a Cell match. It was the third ever Hell in a Cell match, and it's really worth dwelling on this because this is such an important match, such a historic match, such an iconic match. They said that they didn't know how to follow that first match. Mick Foley didn't know what they could do that was going to beat that Shawn Michaels Undertaker one, because that had done everything. And it even had, obviously, Kane's debut. So how do you beat it? How do you follow that up? And I think it was either Mick Foley or Terry Funk came up with the idea of, well, what if you start on the roof? We've not seen that before. So what if you actually go down and you start on the roof? And that flipped this whole thing. I mean, that one decision, and it all came out of the fact that they didn't know how to beat that first one. That one decision just changed everything. Because obviously Mick Foley came down, climbed onto the roof, Undertaker came down, went after him, they're fighting on top, and I think it's the way that Undertaker does it and just doesn't care, hurls Mick Foley off the side. But it's without even a second's thought. Just the way he just grabs him and that's it. And he goes and flips in the air through the net. That it's just. And Mick Foley has said that the fans rave about that first one. Like whenever he speaks to people, they always talk about the first fall. But he said the boys in the back were much more impressed with the second fall because they know how hard the ring was at that time. Yeah. So even just taking a slam onto the ring at that time, you felt it. To actually do it from 16 odd, 20 odd foot up in the air coming down was kind of crazy, because that second fall he comes through the cage. And I completely unrelated to this video we're doing, just I've seen a lot of talk about that match. I watched a video of, I think it was Undertaker and Mick Foley re-watching the match and talking about the match. And Undertaker says that when he does the chokeslam for the second one, he actually positions himself onto one of the center supports, because he was fairly confident that with the force he was going to go through as well. So he positioned himself onto one of the supports so that he didn't fall through at the same time. And he says that in retrospect, he thinks that made a big difference, because he potentially could have been falling on top of Mick Foley, and he doesn't know what damage would have been caused by that happening had he have gone through at the same time as well. Yeah. The other thing as well is that Foley says that he didn't take the chokeslam the way that he normally would inside the ring. Normally in the ring you would land flat on your back, but he said for some reason when he was up on the top, he actually goes through the cage at a slight angle, and he says he thinks that potentially helped save his life, because had he have hit the top of the cage flat, by the time he was going to fall, he was still rotating. By the time he would have come down to the ring, he would have been spiking and actually could have landed coming down on his head. But the fact was, he actually nicely kind of comes down onto his back. There's
physics.
The physics, man. Is there anything sexier? Is there anything sexier? So, man,
Professor Days.
All of that stuff. It just gives you such a new appreciation for that match. And of course, his tooth would go through. Like, a lot of people thought that
his nose.
That's right. Everyone thought it was a booger, didn't they? But it was this tooth that was there. It's just madness, isn't it? It's absolute madness. I don't think we'll ever see anything on that level again. No, I don't want to see anything on that level again.
It was a defining moment. And I know that's a line of toys, but that match, hands down, defining moment. never again gonna have a Hell in a Cell like that. So they can just pack up. They can be done.
Yeah.
They shouldn't have even started Hell in a Cell in 2009. They should have been like, let's leave this to rest. We already went to the apex.
We aced it.
We're good.
Yeah.
But it's WWE, so let's keep on with the history and see where they went from there.
Yes. Well, as we said, I think there's been 40 Hell in a Cell matches. That was the third. So they went back to it another 37 times. And we've got another potentially 3 coming up this year. So yeah, just keep beating it into the ground. I personally am not a fan of Hell in a Cell having its own pay-per-view. I think that it's...
This is what I wanted to talk about.
Bring it.
I'm a fan of when matches have gimmicks for a reason. When they have the gimmick matches for a reason. But the fact that they have these pay-per-views that are like Survivor Series or Hell in a Cell, where you know going into it, there's going to be that type of match, but you don't know why. That breaks the illusion for me, and I really enjoy how, when you look at the history of it, all the early ones, it's not Hell in a Cell, the pay-per-view, it's all like random pay-per-views. And they do them sometimes at WrestleMania nowadays, but it breaks the illusion for me, and I really would prefer if they just do like no limits and there's like a Hell in a Cell match there, rather than having just Hell in a Cell and you know you're gonna get like 3 Hell in a Cell, because that takes away all the spice.
I agree. I think the reason that they do it is for casual fans, because I think casual fans that don't watch week in, week out will see the advert, you know, Roman Reigns, Bayley, whatever, Hell in a Cell, and to them they don't necessarily know this is every year. They don't necessarily know that the wrestlers have been put into the match, not the match has been given to the wrestlers. If it's not as if the feud deserves it, it's just it's that time of year. And it's the same criticism I've got with like TLC. I think TLC, tables, ladders, chairs, the exact same problem. Maybe the same criticism with Elimination Chamber, or maybe that's to a lesser degree. But I completely agree. I think these gimmick matches, it was so much better when they just did a pay-per-view and it had a theme. Like, they should be doing Halloween Havoc. And it should be Halloween themed. Yeah, not on NXT, which I know they're doing. But I mean, instead of Hell in a Cell, the big pay-per-view should be Halloween Havoc. And it should be completely Halloween themed. And then whatever the show needs, if the show needs a Hell in a Cell because a feud deserves it, then let's do it. If it needs a ladder match, then let's do it. If it needs whatever it needs, then do it. But I completely agree. I think having it as a separate pay-per-view is, or its own pay-per-view is detrimental. Detrimental.
I'm glad we agree. Finally.
Something.
It took us like 30 episodes to finally agree on a point. We're making moves.
What do we do now? What happens to the podcast now?
I have bad news.
Oh.
Spotify is really coming close to Apple Podcast when it comes to our listeners. So the Apple Podcast bros are really letting us down, and we might be having some Spotify bros now.
Are we on Spotify?
We're on Spotify. We're on like everything.
I don't know where we are. I thought we were only on Apple Podcast.
No, we're on everything.
Okay, we've only ever mentioned Apple Podcast. Where?
Because they're the top.
Oh, right,
They're
okay.
They're the apex.
Well, hang on, Tommy, can you tell people where they can find us? Where can they find us?
On YouTube?
YouTube.
Do you want me? Hold on.
Oh, wow, we're really good at this.
Let me open up.
Other podcasts are like, yeah, you can find us on Stitcher, Spotify, YouTube, every Wednesday, 9 o'clock. We're like, let's get there. We need to call it up. Hang on.
Where's the sheet of paper?
We're on something called Apple. I can't even read this.
All right, so we are on like tons. Available on 8 platforms.
8 platforms.
Yeah. Um,
And platform 9 and 3/4 goes to Hogwarts, so we can't even be on platform 9.
Breaker, Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, Overcast, Pocket Cast, Radio Public, and Spotify.
Yes, all of them.
And
So we're not on Stitcher.
No, we're.
No,
So
that's
no
the,
one looked.
do you know what? That's the only one I use.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Dang.
Oh well. So I can
But as
never.
I was saying,
I can
Apple
never
Podcasts is
enjoy this.
40%.
God, by that 40. What is it? 40% of all of our listeners come from there. No
Yep.
way, the boys.
And
Ah!
21% is Spotify, though. So
Oh, the Spotty Girls. Have we got the Spotty Girls catching up with the Apple Boys?
we're still 95% male audience.
Are we?
Yeah.
Okay. Do we need to do like a topless episode or something? How do we fix
We
that?
can. Well, how do you convey a topless episode on audio only?
Just keep going. By the way, I'm topless.
Perfect.
That's it, innit?
Yeah, I'm topless too.
Yeah.
I forgot to wear a shirt today.
Oh, what we
It's
could
really
do?
hot.
What we can do it now?
Yeah, why not?
Oh,
It's Hell in a Cell.
yeah.
Hell, hot.
This is on
This is
YouTube
hot.
though. That's the problem. This is.
After last week's episode, we can.
Well, that's true. I don't even want to talk about last week. I'm surprised we're even allowed to stream. Honestly, I'd like to apologise to all the nuns that listen to the
Yes.
podcast. We've got a big nun,
4%.
a big nun following. We are on Nuncast as well. We've got a big community over there, and I do want to apologise to them.
Yes,
So,
likewise.
Right, let's try and drag this back from nuns to hell in a cell. So this Hell in a Cell has taken place at WrestleMania 3 times. So at WrestleMania 15 we got Undertaker versus the Big Boss Man. I don't know if you saw that, but the Boss Man got hung. They actually pulled him up and hung the Boss Man inside Hell. It's one of the most tasteless moments in the history of WWE. It is horrific. And as a result, it's got the lowest score that Meltzer has given any of the Hell in a Cell matches. It got, actually second lowest, because there was one last year that took the biscuit. There was one match last year that was even worse than a man being hung. That is fact.
Do we have to talk about it?
We have
we
to.
have to?
We have to, but not yet. We're saving it. Okay. So, WrestleMania 15, Undertaker Hunger Man. WrestleMania 28, End of an Era. That was awesome. Undertaker against Triple H. That was awesome with Shawn. Did you not see it?
Sorry. I'm just really, my mood just fell a lot realizing where this podcast is going.
Yeah, I think everyone's did. That's why I'm trying to be quick. I'm trying to quickly get through it because I think we're losing listeners as everyone knows what's coming. So, right, WrestleMania 32. We got Undertaker against Shane McMahon. It's worth mentioning the first ever women's Hell in a Cell was Charlotte versus Sasha Banks in 2016. And
what was that?
What was that?
Where was that?
Where was that? I don't know. I don't know where that was. What makes you ask that question?
Was that TD Garden in Boston,
Oh,
Massachusetts?
that's why he was asking the question. Was you there?
I was there.
You was at that show?
Yeah.
Ah, very
fun.
cool. Was you with the same mates you was with when you was 11? Or how old was you? We've shown an image of you being at a show on the podcast before, and you look about 11.
I probably looked 11.
Yeah.
I wasn't there. On the camera. I was present in the building.
Okay.
But I was on the other side. I was on the non-camera side.
Right, so they didn't show you this time.
No.
Out of interest, because of course I am going to see if I can find that image again of you as an 11-year-old. Just as I'm showing it right now, because right now it will be on screen. How old are you here?
In this picture?
Yeah. Which clearly
You're showing right now.
Yeah, which clearly isn't going to work on Apple Podcast or anything like that. But we keep saying you need to watch this on YouTube, so it's your own fault. But yeah, how old are you at roughly?
23, 24.
Okay. But you do look 11. Do you
Probably the glasses.
do you even acknowledge that you do look?
I
young?
acknowledge.
Okay,
And
that's
I
good.
If it's the picture, I think where
Yeah.
I'm wearing like the Dolph Ziggler shirt. That's bright pink,
Yeah, I think it is.
very baby faced.
Oh, the biggest,
know how to shave.
the biggest baby face we've ever seen. Honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not the heel that we've got right now.
No, I'm so angry right now. I got some bad news. Chalmers and I can't hang out this weekend, so I'm really.
Oh no.
Yeah.
So not only have we got to talk about Fiend versus Seth Rollins, but you've got that playing in the back of your mind as well, that you and Chalmers can't.
Yeah, we were planning on sup surfing, but Monica, Monica,
Yeah, I know Monica. Yeah.
broke into Chalmers' house
What?
as a birthday surprise. Like not break in, but like to set up a surprise party.
Oh, well, she is nice like that. I can see her doing
Yeah,
that. I was
yeah, sorry,
when you said
sorry.
that she'd broke into Chalmers' house, I was like, this doesn't sound like the Monica I know.
Yeah, I meant entering when he didn't know. And
I mean, that's still that. Hang on, that still is breaking in, by the way.
Well, roommate let her in.
Oh, Chalmers' roommate.
Yes.
Got you.
So
Right.
Chalmers didn't know.
Right. Okay.
But she accidentally broke all of his sup surfing supplies. And she feels really bad about it, but we can't hang out this weekend now.
Okay. I don't know what's a surfing. I don't even know what that is.
Paddleboarding?
Okay. Not really a thing I'm familiar with.
Chalmers is really into it.
Is he?
He'll probably talk to me.
I didn't think that was that big in the UK, but that's
Loves it.
wow. If there's one thing you need to know about Chalmers, he loves paddleboarding. Oh,
Yeah.
it's all he does. It's all he does.
Yeah.
Don't get him started on that conversation. Oh, you'll be there for days.
Yeah.
Well, there we go. Hopefully that does work out for you guys one day. And hopefully one day as well, Mick Foley gets a victory inside Hell in a Cell, because he has the worst Hell in a Cell record. Mick Foley's record is 0-4 as Mankind, and Cactus Jack, he has never won inside Hell in a Cell. 0-4. Most wins is Undertaker with 8, and most appearances is also Undertaker with 14. It's worth mentioning then that Hell in a Cell had its own show starting in 2009. I think it replaced No Mercy. And people were asked, what do you want the show to be called? Do you want the show to be called... They had options. No Escape. Do you want it to be called Locked Up? My personal favourite, Rage in a Cage. Rage in a Cage? There was a game called Rage in a Cage. So Rage in a Cage or Hell in a Cell. And they went with Hell in a Cell. So Hell in a Cell is what they called the pay-per-view. It started in 2009. Main event was DX versus Legacy. And Meltzer gave that 3 3/4 stars. As we said, the worst rated match, or one of, was Undertaker Bossman. That was a dud. It basically got no stars. But there is a match that got -2 stars. -2 Dave Meltzer stars. Should we get it done? Seth Rollins versus The Fiend. Now, I think we got to say this is the first misstep for The Fiend. And what's your thoughts?
I just don't understand. Outside of the ending of the match, I don't understand why they thought it was a good idea to do the fun lighting, but also have a Hell in a Cell cage that kind of blocked what you were trying to see. And there was just way too much going on visually. And that's the only problem I have with it. I don't think anything else was bad. I don't remember anything. And it's not like I'm trying to forget. Sucked, dude. I didn't even watch it.
I admit I didn't mind it at the time. I've still got a weird relationship with it. I completely understand why people hate it. No, I'll never argue for it. So I completely understand. But I think I understood what they were trying to do at the time, but the execution was quite poor. So what they were trying to do was they were trying to get Seth to turn heel. This was part of Seth's heel turn. He was babyface going into this feud. I think he'd started to show a few tendencies, but they were trying to push him to his limit. They were trying to push him to his dark side. And, Fiend was lying in the ring motionless. Fiend wasn't moving. And Seth, was still going at him, was still beating him up. It's not the kind of thing you expect from a babyface. You don't expect a babyface to beat up an unconscious person or someone that appears to be unconscious. Now, Fiend, the match was called, it was a ref stoppage. One of the big problems was that initially everyone thought it was a disqualification, and you can't get disqualified in Hell in a Cell. So a lot of the initial anger was, what was that finish? What people had watched was Fiend lying there getting beaten up and then a DQ. So I completely get it. People wanted to see the Fiend be awesome inside Hell in a Cell, and it's not what they got. What they actually got was part of the story. And then also the fact it was a disqualification, people went, what, you can't be disqualified? Do you not even know your own rules? So, I completely get it.
Though.
Yeah, well, the thing was, it was ref stoppage, and I don't have a problem with ref stoppage. For me, a ref should be able to step in and say, look, this person gives up. I'm going to say on their behalf because they're unconscious. Because at what point does the match stop? If Seth could keep going and cave the Fiend's head in, at what point do we say, yeah, we should stop this now? I think enough is enough here. So I don't... Never!
Point of hell in a cell.
Yeah. So for me, I was all right with wrestling. I was all right going, I think we can stop now. I think you've beaten him. I was okay with that.
Kill him.
Like
Palpatine or something.
So, but then as soon as the match was over, the Fiend pops up. And that to me suggested that the Fiend was playing possum. That suggested to me that the Fiend was psychologically pushing Seth to his limit. Was psychologically lying there, taking this punishment. Because, Bray had told us that he'd taught himself to not feel pain. So he was lying there, taking this punishment, pushing Seth to his limit, so that he could ultimately turn Seth heel. And ultimately, that's exactly what we got. We got a Seth heel turn. The crowd were all over Seth. The crowd were hating on Seth after that match. And it is kind of interesting to look back at it in retrospect. But as I said, I think that's what they were going for. The communication of that, the execution of that, awful. Absolutely awful. Meltzer gave it -2 stars. It's regarded as one of the worst atrocities in modern wrestling history, and really one of the first missteps for the Fiend. Obviously, the Fiend would go on to lose to Goldberg as well and have a few more missteps, but I think the Fiend's still got a bit of momentum about him. I think he's okay at the moment still, but that did some damage. No denying that. I've just got a few more matches to touch on, to be honest. Just a few things I wanted to raise up before we pull the curtain down on this episode. There's a great match of Seth Rollins versus Ambrose, Hell in a Cell 2014. And obviously that's not too long after Seth had turned on the Shield, and so that's quite an interesting match. Undertaker versus Brock, Hell in a Cell 2015. Meltzer loved that, and that was after the streak had ended. So this was like Undertaker Brock and the follow-up of the streak ending. That got 4.25 stars. But a really fun match that I went back to and watched, and I got to tell you, this didn't actually happen in Hell in a Cell, but it happened on Hell in a Cell in the show. It's a triple threat tag team match, and it's so much fun to go back and watch now because it's Shield. It's from 2013. It's for the tag titles, and it's the Shield. It's Roman and Seth versus the Usos versus Cody Rhodes and Goldust. So watching it now, it's kind of like one of the greatest teams ever in the Shield, Roman and Seth. Mm-hmm. You've got an incredible tag team in the Usos, and obviously, big story at the moment with Roman and Jay and everything that's happening there. So you've got all of that happening, and you've got that in this match. But then you've got like this mini AEW invasion as well, because Cody is Cody. He is not Stardust in this match. He is Cody.
Yeah.
So you've got Cody,
What
and
were they, like the Rhodes Dynasty?
yeah, I think they were. Like, I can't remember if it was Rhodes Brothers or Rhodes Dynasty, but they were the tag champs at this time. Hell in a Cell 2013. It's Cody, as we said, not as Stardust, and Goldust. And watching it now, it does feel like a mini AEW invasion. You got the Usos, you got the Shield, and you got that team. And Meltzer gave that 4 stars. He really liked it, really rated it. So
Wow.
yeah, I rewatched it earlier. It was fun. It was a good little match. But as I said, it doesn't take place inside Hell in a Cell, but still worth finding and checking out. So
It's so wild to think of the Shield as tag team, because you go back and they really did have, and Dean Ambrose was off and running off doing his own thing with that U.S. Championship. It's just a totally different time, and I know that's what you can do with wrestling all the time. You can go back and be like, wow, but the Shield was there when I first started, and it's cool to see the growth, because there is growth in wrestling, and that's cool. It's not like Batman. Well, Batman has growth, but he's always Batman.
does Batman have growth?
Yeah, he has a kid now.
There's a Bat Kid.
Yep.
Is there? I never knew this. When did this happen?
I don't know.
Who's he
10
with?
years ago?
Is he with Catwoman?
I think they broke up. So there's growth.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I had no idea. I don't know what happened. Yeah. I've never got into comics. It was not. Do you know? I don't even know if we had them. We might have, but I can't remember going to my local newsagents as a kid and ever seeing Marvel or Spider-Man or things like that. I'm sure we must have, but I just don't remember seeing them. And we certainly, not round my area, had any kind of comic book specialist stores or anything like that. I mean, you're just going to a pretty standard newsagents where you'd get your normal newspapers from and a few magazines that they would have, whatever. They always had the wrestling ones, and that's all I was interested in.
That's all that matters.
That's all that matters to me. So I always used to get the wrestling ones, but the WWE ones, but I never got Marvel. So I never got into it. I never got into Marvel, never got into DC. Maybe saw like the Superman film as a kid or whatever. But I really enjoyed Gotham.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that show. The first couple of seasons, and then I think it started to go supernatural, and then I do struggle a little bit when it does that.
Is it too spooky?
It's too spooky, and I can't sleep. And even if I have a hot cocoa, it's no good, Tommy. It's no good.
Understandable.
It's no good. Unless Mother is there to read me a story and calm me down, I am a mess. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, did you see Gotham? Did you see that show?
1 second. Have you ever been to Whitechapel?
In London?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who's Jack the Ripper?
Well, he's not someone that I socialise with, let's put it that way.
Okay.
Hey, do you want to know a weird story? I'll tell you a really fun little story. I went down to London a few years ago and did a quick little toy hunt around the wrestling shop warehouse they've got. And the wrestling shop guy, they're so friendly. I used to go down every, 3 months or something, and when we'd meet up, we'd go to the warehouse, look at the new stuff, catch up on, having a chat, do the little toy hunt video, and then we'd go for like some drinks after and, just go to the pub and whatever. And he was like, oh, I know this really great pub. It's kind of like Ye Olde. It's down this alleyway. And I was like, hello. So we went to this pub, and it was really cool. I mean, you go there and it just screams like 1700s. Like, it's just, everything's made of wood. The lighting is like really low. The like low wall lights. It might even have been like a flame, like a candle or something. Like it was.
Wow.
It felt really like, yeah, this has been here
Dazed by gaslight.
Yeah. So we ended up outside with a couple of drinks, and all of a sudden, this absolute, like, you got to remember, this is just a quiet like back
Is this
alley.
legal in the UK? You
What?
can go outside with drinks?
You can. We have beer gardens.
Oh, okay.
You can't really go walking down the street with them, but
Okay.
outside, yeah, like obviously outside the front, there was an area that you could go, but it was still an alleyway. There wasn't much room. But anyway, this absolute herd of people came down, right? This alleyway. It was quiet, and this absolute herd of people came down, and all of a sudden they started taking pictures of just this spot opposite us. I mean, just this like little corner. And it turns out we were actually on the Jack the Ripper hunt, where one of the bodies had been discovered was literally a stone's throw from where I'm having a drink. And I had no idea. I mean, that's...
So what you're telling me is that these people were taking a picture of nothing while famous influencer and YouTuber Wrestling Days was right behind them and they didn't notice you.
Can you imagine how excited I was when a herd of people with cameras came marching towards me? Can you imagine? I was like, wrestling shop, look, you want to see influencer? Have you seen this? And then imagine my surprise when they all started taking picture of absolute nothingness in the corner. This little alleyway where there was nothing. I was like, you're telling me that cobblestone down there is more interesting than this right here? It was unbelievable, Tommy. I wrote a very angry letter to the mayor, let me tell you. Very angry. Very angry. There were scenes. There was nearly another murder. There was nearly another Whitechapel murder. I nearly unleashed my darkness. I nearly had Days the Ripper. I couldn't believe it. Never have I been treated so shoddily. But yeah, that was all around the Whitechapel area. So yeah, I know it well. I've been disrespected round there.
Lost my composure.
Wow, I tell you what.
So professional.
I think we can end it there. Do you want to talk about hell? I've been there. Awesome, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope you enjoyed this episode. And should we tell them we've got something special coming up, or do we keep that to ourselves?
No. Let's get the hype now.
The hype train going. We're pulling the hype train out of Hype Central Station.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Ringo Starr's our conductor.
Well, I feel like this is because of you. You've been the one that's been able to make this work, so I feel you're the one that should be announcing this news.
I just want to give a shout out to Ringo Starr, peace and love.
Yes, that's right.
We're going live. Because too many people were complaining that I was falling asleep.
And this is the only way we can think of keeping him awake. Forcing him to stay awake.
Yep. On Tuesdays,
yes. So that means that certainly for next week, maybe the foreseeable future, there is going to be a real change to these episodes. So what we're looking at doing is this weekend, at the time of recording this, is the 2020 draft. And that's huge, as you can imagine. There's some big matches taking place on SmackDown, and I would imagine Raw. But they haven't announced Raw at the time of recording this, but obviously that'll be the second part. So the plan is Tuesday at 7 Eastern, which is going to be midnight in the UK. We are going live. We're going to go live on the Wrestling Escape Pod channel. It would be awesome if as many of you can join us for that. As we said, 7 Eastern, and we will be live. The plan is that, of course, we're going to be interacting with the chat, but obviously it's going to be a little bit different maybe to what you see on like the Wrestling Days watch-alongs. Because with that, I tend to interact all the time with the chat. I think with this one, we definitely still want to be putting content out there that is still going to be of service to people on the podcast kind of outlets.
Don't want to forget about the Apple Podcast Bros.
Absolutely.
And the Spotify gentlemen.
Yes. We don't want them to feel left out. So as a result, there will be question and answers, of course. So there's going to be real interaction. But I think it's going to be our thoughts, really, on how the draft has gone, what we thought of SmackDown, what we thought of Raw, where we think it might be leading, and just kind of seeing if that is really what people are asking for. We get a lot of people saying, can you please do, like they really want to ask questions of you, really.
There's nothing to talk about.
Well, you say that, but you, people really do want to ask certain things, and obviously they get the opportunity all the time with me over on the Days channel. So, we're looking at doing. Well, we're more than looking at doing it. We are doing it on Tuesday, 7 Eastern, midnight.
7 Eastern.
Yeah.
The murder hour in the UK.
The murder. It's going to be a lot of fun, man. It is going to be a lot of fun. So lots to talk about. We'll be live for around an hour. And as we said, we'll do a segment on SmackDown, a segment on Raw. And then I think we'll do a your questions kind of a thing. So at that point, I fully expect to just become a moderator. At that point, I'm just going to be reading out questions for you. That's all it's going to be. Right, next question, Tommy. Chalmers wants to know, are you free to go paddleboarding on Thursday?
It'll be like Austin 316. Tommy, is there a blue mailbox across the street? And is your car a Honda Civic with the license plate QD4FGH?
He'll also be like, Tommy, can I just confirm we are definitely friends, aren't we? Yeah, we are friends. Cool. Yeah. And then 5 minutes later, Tommy, sorry, I just got to get this clear. I just got to get this straight. We are 100%. We are still friends from before. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's going to be awesome.
Yeah, it's going to be unmissable. Make sure you don't miss that. So awesome, guys. Thank you so much to Tommy, of course, for joining us. As always, really pumped for Tuesday. I honestly, I can't wait. I really can't wait. And it's going to be fun. And thank you to everyone that joined us and enjoyed this episode as well. So if you did, join us on Tuesday. It's going to be a massive, massive stream. And hopefully see you there. Bye for now.